Hi everyone and happy new year. Kind of want to start the new year with a reading vlog. I realise it's the 17th of January today. It's currently 4 p.m. so I'm starting this vlog quite late. It's also a Tuesday, so it's not like a Monday to Sunday vlog. I just figured I haven't done a full-on reading vlog in ages and I really wanted to. I've actually managed to start the year off quite well. I've already finished 4 books, which to my standards is quite good. I don't really care that much about how many books I read as long as I'm enjoying them. And I will say, I've read 4 books so far this year. 2 of them, back to back, have been 5-star reads. If that doesn't say anything about how good my reading year will be this year, I don't know what will. So the last book I finished, which I finished on Sunday night, was Hellbent, the sequel to Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. It came out on the 10th, so a week ago today. I've been waiting 4 years for the sequel, so I was diving straight into hell with Alex and the gang. I could not put that book down. I honestly believe Leigh Bardugo made a deal with the devil before she started writing Hellbent. Because whatever she put in that book, insane. If you haven't read Ninth House and if you have no clue what it's about, basically I guess Ninth House is kind of sold as dark academia. It's at Yale with some secret societies that do some magic things that might not be that great. Kind of using magic for their own desires, I suppose. And then you've got Alex, Darlington and Dawes, who you meet in the first book, who are all part of Leith, which is the 9th society, the 9th house at Yale, and they kind of make sure that other societies don't do something that they shouldn't do. If you haven't read 9th house, I would highly recommend. Leigh Bardugo has confirmed that it is going to be a trilogy, so although the second book kind of ends on a cliffhanger of some sorts, not really, but like you'll anticipate the third book. You might want to wait, but at the same time I would recommend just reading both of them right now because they're honestly so good. I think the sequel was better than the first book, if I'm being honest, but I'll speak more about Hellbent in a different video that you'll see soon. Anyway, as of right now I am reading 2 books actually. When I was traveling back from being home over the holidays, I actually started People With Me on Vacation as an audiobook. Now, if you know me, I hate audiobooks. Or like, I don't hate them, I like the whole aspect of audiobooks. I just can't concentrate on them. But I did start People With Me on Vacation, the audiobook. I've listened to, let's see how much I've listened to. I've listened to 2.5 hours. I will say I have 8.5 hours left. But the reason I started the audiobook was, one, because I was on the bus for like an hour and I didn't want to read and like get car sick. I've been listening to it when I've been like out on walks and stuff, which has been quite nice. Although now I actually have the physical copy here in Glasgow with me, so I might switch to reading it as a physical book. Haven't decided yet. I might keep going with the audiobook if I can, or just like switch between them. Other than People With Me on Vacation, or You and Me on Vacation as it's called in the UK, I also just got accepted for a proof of love theoretically, which is the new book by Ali Hazelwood, which is coming out, when is that coming out? May? I actually don't remember what month it's coming out in, but it's coming out later this year. Honestly, don't really know what it's about. I think it's like low-key enemies to lovers. I think the 2 main love interests are physicists somewhere. That's literally all I know. I've enjoyed her previous books, like not fallen in love with them and been like, oh my god, this is the best work of fiction I've ever read, but they're quite like fun reads. And especially after reading Hellbent, which is like, it's not heavy magic, but it's quite intense fantasy, and so I felt like having a nice romance would be quite good. I will update you on how I get on with my reading and if my mood switches and I start reading a fantasy book again. But until then, I will get on with my reading. Hello again. I thought I'd come with the reading update because since I last spoke to you yesterday, I have finished a book. Basically, as I said yesterday, I got a copy of Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood from NetGalley. The book's coming out 13th of June this year, so you will have to wait for a while longer. But I can say I do think the wait will be worthwhile. I actually didn't know a lot about the book before I went into it, which I do think was like quite a good thing, because then I didn't have like preconceived judgment on the book, if that makes sense. You kind of have expectations going into a romance book, of course, as you do with every book, but I have to say, like, Love Theoretically actually did surprise me. It's basically about these two physicists, which I did already say, and it's like, I don't want to say enemies to lovers because they're not really enemies. I don't think you can have a fully enemies to lovers plotline in a contemporary book, if I'm being honest. It's more like rivals to lovers, I guess. I do think with Elsie though, I did quite like her character. I think she might be my favourite out of like all the three main characters from Ali Hazelwood's books, because she was quite relatable, although she's like an extreme version of myself. Elsie's the kind of person who does not want to disappoint anyone in her life, and so she puts up with stupid people in the academic field, people who want to put her down for the work she's doing just because she's a woman in STEM, but also in her regular life she's dealing with her mom, who wants her to fix everything in their family. She's also dealing with like a lot of other things. Elsie then has like all these different Elsies that she is to different people so that they will like her. But then comes Jack, the love interest and also academic rival, I suppose, and he kind of sees through all the layers that she's putting up and the walls that she's putting up between herself and other people, which I did quite enjoy. Like, their romance story I think is quite like natural. Like, you have the initial attraction from one person. There are a couple of things in the book that I wish Ali Hazelwood dove a bit deeper into. Like, there is a bit with one of the side characters who's Arrow Ace, kind of figuring out their sexuality, and as a side character, like, that's okay. Like, I understand that we're not getting a deep dive into their whole life. It's alluded to that Elsie isn't sure about her sexuality either, and I kind of wish that the author explored that a bit more and like showed a bit more of that, because most characters that you read in books, like from mainstream books that become popular, are straight, and so I would have liked to dive a bit deeper into that with like Elsie and her sexuality, which I think would have been good. Like, they did show it a bit. It doesn't need to be the defining quality of her as a person, but I think when you start mentioning something like that in a book, I think you should kind of continue with it, because it's important to write those stories as well. But other than that, there are other storylines and topics that Ali Hazelwood wrote about, like how it is to be a woman in STEM, and I know that she's writing from her own experience. I'm not exactly sure what Ali Hazelwood studied, but she was in STEM. She is still in STEM. I actually don't know. I suppose writing might be her full-time career now, with having 3 books published in the last 3 years. Actually 4, I guess. I do quite like it. It's not just a romance story, it's like more than that, which I quite like. If you liked her previous books, I do think you'll enjoy this. I will say, from her previous books, there were a couple lines that were quite questionable. Not in a bad way, but more like you kind of got the ick from reading them. I did not notice any of those types of lines in this book. Thank Hazelwood for that, or the editor, whoever. I think I'd give the book 4 stars maybe. And yeah, it was quite cute. It was kind of the book that I needed to read right now after Hellbent. But yeah, I will update you when I get to my next book, I guess, which will be another Emily Henry book. And I'm not sure if it will top Book Lovers or Beach Reads, but we shall see. I'm on page 82 out of, let's see if I can see this without spoiling myself, out of 360. I will say this is obviously like a very summary romance book. They literally go on holiday every summer, and that's the different chapters. So I'm not exactly choosing the right time to read it, but one of my goals for this year is to read more books off my TBR, and I've been trying to get this off my physical TBR for ages, and so I'm finally getting to it. Like, I do quite like Poppy and Alex. That's not the problem that I had with the book initially either. Like, I quite like the characters, and I do like the way that Emily Henry writes her books, but so far I don't feel like I've been able to connect to the characters that well as I've done with Book Lovers and Beach Read. I still haven't made up my mind whether Beach Read or Book Lovers is my favorite Emily Henry book. Beach Read has such a special place in my heart because it was the first Emily Henry book I read and like fell in love with. And then Book Lovers that I read last year, like I'm pretty sure I gave 5 stars, and I absolutely adore that book. I just love those two books so much, and so I feel like I want to love People We Meet on Vacation, but I don't force myself to love it, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's where we're at right now with the book. Hello and happy Friday everyone. I'm actually off to Edinburgh in not too long. I'm gonna head for the train in like 10-15 minutes, but I want to give an update on People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. So I'm currently on page 106. It's switching back and forth between like this summer and like the previous summers that Alex and Poppy have had together. I know I said this yesterday, I think, maybe, or the day before. I haven't fallen in love with it as much as I did earlier on with Beach Read and Book Lovers. Like, I think I loved those books from like the very beginning, and I know like I do still have a chunk left of this book. Like, I'm only this far into the book, so I have like 280 pages or so left. I will say Emily Henry is really good at making you kind of like her characters and like feel for them with like the way she's writing things. Like this part from page 82 that I marked. Alex knows about my rocky years in Linfield, of course, but for the most part I try not to revisit them. I've always preferred the version of me that Alex brings out to the one I was back in our hometown. This Poppy feels safe in the world because he's in it too, and he, deep down, where it matters, is like me. Like, you always want to love them, and it's not that I don't, but I don't feel like I have that deep connection with them yet. And I know I'm only 107 pages into the book, okay? But I don't know if it's like my desire to love them that's ruining me falling in love with them properly. If that makes any sense at all. Also, I don't know if I said, the reason why I'm going to Edinburgh is actually to cut my hair. Because I've lived in Edinburgh for the past 4 years, my hairdresser is in Edinburgh. And I know I could find a new one in Glasgow, but I figured I'd rather go to the person I've been going to for the past 2 years, because I know that she cuts my hair well. I say that, and then at the end of this vlog I'm gonna come back and be like, I hate my haircut. Hopefully not, no comment. I messaged one of my friends who I haven't seen in like a year and a half now almost, and I was like, hi, are you available on Friday to go for lunch or coffee or something? And she was. So I'm seeing my friend as well, which I'm very excited for. I need to pack my bag and then I need to get going. I might film a couple bits whilst I'm in Edinburgh. Haven't decided that yet. I'm not bringing my camera because it's just too much hassle. If not, I'll give you another reading update when I get back later today. It's currently Saturday. It's 2:30 already. Have I done much today? No. But with this being a full-on reading vlog, I wanted to give you another reading update. I feel like every single time I've spoken to you, I have a new reading update, which is how it is, I guess, with a reading vlog. But yeah, also I got my haircut yesterday. I got my front pieces a bit shorter than I thought I was gonna get them. And at the end of this vlog I'm gonna come back and be like, I hate my haircut. So now they're kind of curtain bangs, I guess, and I don't know how to style them. So bear with me, this will be interesting. As of yesterday, I was on chapter 11, I think, of People Meet on Vacation. I tried to read a bit more on the train while listening to the audiobook, as I think I told you. I've now come to the conclusion that listening to the audiobook is ruining the whole experience for me. No shade to the narrator of the People Meet on Vacation audiobook, well, the UK version. I don't know if they've got a different UK reader and a different American reader. I don't know. The narrator of the book is now popping in my head. But then when the narrator goes like into a deeper voice whenever she talks about Alex, or like Alex said, I like cringe inside. So I've scrapped the audiobook, so I'm now just going to focus on reading the physical book, and that's okay. But I then yesterday realised I still have my Kindle Unlimited subscription, and it's costing me like £7 per month, and I've had it for ages. And I was like, I'm not getting enough books out of this subscription, so I figured I would stop my subscription. So I now have like 10 days left of my Kindle Unlimited subscription. Now, this is only relevant for the current story, I guess. I read Lighthouse Farm? Okay, I was wrong. I read Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison, sorry I had to look up the name, which is a rom-com that I read in December. That's like the first book in a trilogy, could be a quartet. That's like a music thing. What do you have? You've got duology, trilogy. 3 books are out, and I had started the second book but I hadn't finished it, so I had like 15% left, and because I need to get everything I can out of this Kindle Unlimited subscription at the moment, I was like, I'm gonna finish it today. So I finished it this morning. The sequel was called In the Weeds, and I think I enjoyed it less than the first one, to be honest. It was like okay, not the best. The reason why I saved the final 15 to 25% was because I wasn't enjoying it as much. I'd give it like 3 stars maybe. It's not necessarily bad, but there's not necessarily anything, like, looking back on the book, I can't think of like a specific moment when I was like, oh, that was great. If that makes sense. That's where I'm at currently. I'm gonna continue People Meet on Vacation today, and then hopefully, maybe I'll actually be able to finish People Meet on Vacation this weekend, because I've got like 250 pages left. Actually, I don't know what page I'm at right now, but I'm gonna go outside for a bit and maybe pick up some baked goods from the bakery up the street. I got myself a cinnamon bun. Can you see the cinnamon bun? Look at the cinnamon bun. No, it's not even in focus. Look at it. Oh my god. If I could eat cinnamon buns every day for the rest of my life, I would. It's not even a joke. It's... I just can't explain it. As a Norwegian born person, individual, I would say I'm qualified to say if a cinnamon bun is good or not. So let's do a taste test. Not what I thought I would be doing in this vlog, but here we are anyway. You know what? As far as cinnamon buns go, quite good. I will say, however, it's like a bit compact, but not too much. Like, it's still soft, but I've had softer cinnamon buns in my life, if I'm being honest. Out of 5 cinnamon buns, I'd give this a 4. And that's on me being Norwegian. If you don't believe in my rating system, you can go elsewhere. Literally don't know what this vlog has turned into. I'm gonna continue reading and then see if I can actually like fall in love with it. I need to like not push it and like force myself to love it, as I've said a million times already in this vlog, but I'm gonna enjoy my cinnamon bun, enjoy my lovely coffee that I just made, and hopefully enjoy the book as well. We'll see if I fall in love with Poppy and Alex more as we continue, or as I continue, I guess. So I think the last time I spoke to you was on Saturday, when I was about halfway through People Meet on Vacation. Since then, I have finished People Meet on Vacation. I'm not sure if I mentioned that I'd read Beach Read and Book Lovers. I feel like I've spoken about that. But Book Lovers and Beach Read both have such a special place in my heart. They're both such great books and I love them both so much. And I think maybe that kind of ruined my experience going into People Meet on Vacation, because I had so high expectations, but at the same time I thought I wasn't gonna enjoy this one as much as I'd enjoyed Book Lovers and Beach Read. I knew this was a Friends to Lovers book, and although I do enjoy that kind of book, it's not my all-time favourite. I do think when you have a Friends to Lovers book, you do get a lot more of the vulnerable side of the characters. What I did enjoy about Alex and Poppy is that throughout the book, although the other person doesn't know that the other person loves them the way that they love them, you can clearly see it in the pages and like in the way that they act around each other and like how much they mean to each other. But although I love the characters, I don't think I love them as much as I've loved like Jenna and Gus, for example, from Beach Read, who I absolutely adore. So I want to pitch this as When Harry Met Sally, but they go on holiday every year instead of just meeting up randomly. And I thought about that before I finished the book. Then, at the end of this book, Emily Henry actually has like a behind the book thing. She literally wrote in the back of this book, when I started People Meet on Vacation, I didn't set out to write a homage to one of my favourite romantic comedies, that being When Harry Met Sally. But perhaps it was Efron who left this indelible mark on me, planted a seed of ardent appreciation for characters who grate and irritate and infuriate until the moment they suddenly don't. Not only because they've changed, but because you've begun to see the full picture of who they are. And then lots more, which was really cute actually. I'd like to say this is a better version of When Harry Met Sally in book format. But I think at the same time, although I did enjoy the story of Poppy and Alex and Poppy, and it was really endearing seeing them open up to each other and like realizing that they couldn't live without one another, like beyond a platonic friendship level. I do think there was something missing, and I can't pinpoint exactly what. I think the repetitiveness of the chapters was part of why I didn't enjoy it as much. Basically, the way that the book is written is it jumps between this summer and the past 10 summers that Alex and Poppy have gone on holiday together. Although for the past 2 years, they haven't really spoken. Jumping between two chapters and like past and present is always fine, like it normally does work. And like it did work in this sense as well, but I think with every holiday that they went on in the past, let's say for the sake of this example that they were on holiday for 7 days for each holiday, I think the repetitiveness of them being away and it being like Emily Henry obviously needed to give context for each past summer holiday that they went on to get to the point that's important for the current summer, if that makes sense. To be able to write the context and get to that specific point for each past summer, she would kind of have to like tell what was going on for each summer holiday, and it kind of got a bit too repetitive for me, as in, oh, they did this, they did that, and then they jumped and suddenly they were back at the hotel or the Airbnb or the wherever place, tent that they were staying. I wouldn't say it ruined the story for me, I still really enjoyed it, but I think that could have been maybe executed in a better way. But I think overall I would give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I am sad because I feel like I really wanted to love this book and like fall in love with the book, fall in love with the characters, and although as I've said I did enjoy it and I did like the characters, I do like Poppy and Alex. I do think Poppy is a really relatable character, and so there wasn't anything wrong with the characters per se. I think it was more the execution of the writing maybe, and then something else as well that I honestly just can't pinpoint. I would recommend picking up People We Meet on Vacation. I know a lot of people say it's their favourite Emily Henry book and like her 3 adult books. I will say this has made me quite excited for Happy Place, which is coming out in April, I believe. Not that I wasn't excited for that anyway, but like Emily Henry has now written enemies to lovers, kind of, I'd say like rivals to lovers, with Beach Read. I don't really know how I'd classify book lovers, but People Meet on Vacation is definitely friends to lovers. And then in April we're getting a Second Chance Romance, which is one of my all-time favourites, so I'm excited to see how that's gonna make it to my tier list of Emily Henry books. I do hope you guys enjoyed this reading vlog. Hopefully it wasn't too chatty. Also let me know if you enjoy these kind of vlogs. I know previously I've done other reading vlogs and I've done like my Glasgow Diaries, which have like a mix of books and whatever else I get up to. This was like a purely book reading vlog, which I have enjoyed making. So yeah, I guess until next time, happy reading!